Australia's water security could soon rely on recycling and desalination plants, according to a range of proposals from Infrastructure Australia. A new report, the independent body, calls for Australia to diversify away for a single source of water, such as dams, to build resilience against extreme weather events. The infrastructure body also outlines 12 priority projects in its $58 billion wish list. Let's go live now to the Deputy Prime Minister Michael McCormack. He joins us live from Canberra. Thanks so much for your time. More priorities on this list than ever before. You've been in for 2.5 terms, your government. What have you been doing?
Well, we've increased our spend on infrastructure, Laura, right across the nation to $100 billion. That's a record amount of money being spent on such things as dams, on roads, on rail. The inland rail continues at a pace, and we're making sure that we build the infrastructure not only for the here and now, but setting Australia up for the next 100 years.
You say you've been spending all this money on dams, and certainly that has been a focus of the National Party, but doesn't this list and this report from Infrastructure Australia show perhaps that has been the wrong focus? It is now talking about new priorities such as desalination plants and water recycling. Does this mean that you are changing your focus now?
Sure, that's one part of the priority list, but there are many projects on the priority list, and many of those, in fact almost all of those, reflect exactly what we've been talking about, what we've been pledging, and more importantly what we've already been building. And I'm so delighted that you look at the Princess Highway, you look at the M1 Pacific Motorway, you look at many of the projects, rail, and all of those things. We're actually already getting in, and we're doing, and we've funded, and we're building. And of course this reflects the $100 billion 10-year plan that we've got, whether it's urban infrastructure and perhaps most importantly for myself, regional infrastructure, making sure that we've got the right roads and rail to get product from paddock to port to plate.
But should desalination and water recycling now be a higher priority and take precedence over any new dams?
I want to build dams. De-sal plants, fabulous. Expensive water. IA has identified it. They have given it as a priority to government, but I want to build dams, and I'm looking forward to, in coming weeks, commissioning and getting online Scottsdale Dam in northeast Tasmania, making sure that Emu Swamp near Stanthorpe in Queensland starts before the end of the year. And of course we've got Rookwood, Hells Gate, Big Rocks. I mean, there's so many projects, so many dam projects. They're going to build climate resilience, they're going to store water, and they're going to grow agriculture. We want to grow agriculture to a $100 billion sector by 2030, and we're going to do just that, Laura.
That seems exactly the opposite.
You do it by adding water.
Yes, that seems exactly the opposite of what Infrastructure Australia says in this report, though. So how do you justify it?
No, it doesn't suggest anything opposite, Laura. Yes, we need to obviously build urban infrastructure and particularly water, but let's not forget that supplying town water is the remit of state governments. Yes, we work in because we build dams, and of course that feeds into the process of storing more water, and de-sal plants are great when they're turned on, and certainly in times of drought, and we've had that right across the country, and that's why I'm glad I'm part of a government that's actually balancing the books so we can address drought, that we can address issues as they arise. And infrastructure is #1 priority of this government, and we're making sure that we're building the infrastructure that we need, not just for the here and now, but indeed for years to come.
Farmers more broadly now, the Farmers Federation has a policy of trending towards a carbon neutrality by 2030. Is that a policy the National support?
Well, trending towards and actually achieving might be two different things, Laura. What the National support is jobs in regional Australia and jobs in agriculture. What the National support is making sure that we grow agriculture from the $60 billion enterprise it is now to $100 billion. Now, you're not going to get that under the Labor plan of basically destroying jobs in regional Australia via some knee-jerk reaction to the left and appeasing the Greens. What we're going to do is make sure that we meet our international obligations. Yes, that's a priority.
But the Farmers Federation,
we won't do it at the expense of regional jobs.
No, but the Farmers Federation have had this policy since 2018. They state they want to be a global leader in reducing emissions and trending towards carbon neutrality by 2030. That's only 10 years away. Is that a policy you support?
Well, that's aspirational, the Farmers Federation.
But is
what
it
we
a policy
support is
you
more
support
jobs
or not?
it's aspirational by the NFF. Good on them, and I support Fiona Simpson and what the NFF stand for. But the fact remains, we want to make sure that we grow agriculture. What we want to do is build more dams. What we want to do is make sure that we help farmers through technology, not taxation, and we're doing that. With so many investments across rural and regional Australia, we will continue to do that to support our farmers, to be able to support themselves and to be able to support those free trade agreements that we've been negotiating and indeed signing over the terms of government that we've been in.
What is the difference between carbon neutral and net zero emissions? Because the Labor Party and the Farmers Federation seem to be on a very similar page here.
They're not as one, and I don't think Labor and farmers are ever as one. And we hear Joel Fitzgibbon all the time ranting and raving and carrying on. What Labor does is they might talk up a big game, but they never ever deliver for rural and regional Australia, and particularly our farmers. And what we do is we get in there, we support them. Yes, it's technology, it's not taxation. We don't want to hit farmers with a carbon tax. That's the Joel Fitzgibbon, Anthony Albanese Labor way. We're not going to do that.
Well, what is the difference between the Berejiklian government and the Anthony Albanese opposition? They both have the same goal.
Well, I'm not in either government, but what the New South Wales coalition government actually has is a plan. They've got a strategy. They've got measures in place. But again, I say I'm in the Morrison-McCormack government, the Liberal Nationals government here in Canberra, working hard to build dams, working hard to do the sort of practical things that I know our farmers want us to do. Our farmers, they want to make sure they've got jobs. They want to make sure they've got water. They want to. And that's what we're working to deliver for them.
What does a 2050 net zero emissions target mean? Does it mean the end of agriculture?
Well, it depends on how you try to achieve that. Labor's going to do it via taxation. Labor's going to do it via a method which is going to cruel our farmers. I come from a generational farming family, and I'm sure that our farmers in the Riverina and elsewhere don't want more taxation. They don't want more impediments in their way. What they want to be able to do is get on with doing what they've always done, grow the best food and fibre, and we're going to support them in that initiative. You add water, you add agriculture. You add more markets, you add more trade, you add more jobs. That's the National Party way. That's what we'll be achieving.
All right. How's your week been? Better than the last fortnight? Have things calmed down?
Every week's a good week, Laura, and especially when I'm talking to you.
Flattery will get you everywhere. Thank you, Michael McCormack. We'll leave it there.
All the best. Okay, thank you.